guys, Travis from the Third Gear Speed Shop here, and getting ready to start a new project, and thought I'd bring you guys along. It's going to be similar to the one I just finished. It's going to be another dirt track Camaro build, but this time it's going to be a little different. It's actually going to be a replica of a car that I remember running, watching at Anderson Speedway. But yeah, it's going to be similar but different. These dirt track Camaros, you know, there's no real one way to do them. So this one, I'm going to take what I learned from the last build, incorporate some of those, you know, the stuff that I learned into this one, and hopefully I'll be able to, you know, keep the momentum going and give you guys more, I don't know if tricks would be the right word, but tips and, you know, just little things about how I detail things, painting and detail painting and scratch building, lots of scratch building. So should be a pretty fun project, and my goal for this project will be to be done towards the end of January. So hopefully we can make that goal. But first thing I wanted to do today is just introduce the project and really talk about the body and about the vacuum form bodies that are available. And I got a comment on a video that I made from the last build series asking, you know, how I cut them and if I could show sort of the process by which I cut them out. So that's what this video is going to be about, more about the vacuum form body. And these videos will be probably a little bit longer than my usual videos, and the build series will probably go longer too, because I wanted to dig into some stuff that I didn't get to show you in the last one. So yeah, so let's go over to the bench and I will show you what I've got going on. Okay, so this is the vacuum form body, and I get these from Ron Coon at Ron Coon Resins. As far as I know, he's the only one who's offering this particular body style. I'm pretty sure it's a 78, 79 Camaro. I could be wrong about those years, but at any rate, it's a vacuum form body. And if you're not familiar with vacuum form, it's I think this is 0.40 or 0.040. I can't remember, I'm not sure. Styrene that they heat up, flat sheet, and then just warm and pliable. It's not melting, and then they put it down over a buck that they've made, and the form or buck they've got a vacuum table that sucks the warm plastic down over the buck, and when it cools it pops off and you're left with what was underneath. So like I said, it's thin. I don't know if you can see that. It's thin, but it's not super flimsy. You know, it keeps its shape. And so this is what you get. This is how it comes when he ships it to you. So you have to cut out all of your windows, side windows, front windows, rear windows, and all your wheel wells, as well as, you know, your rear rocker body line, or whatever you want to call it, as well as your, you know, your front spoiler. You can kind of see there's somewhat of a line there that gives you an idea of where to cut, but you're really going to need to use resource materials to figure out, you know, what your overall shape is going to be. So the first thing I will do, and I'm going to do this off camera and come back at the end of the video to show you what I've done. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a pencil here, and I'm just going to go around and use a pencil to just mark all of my lines around my windows. You can kind of see, I mean, you can definitely see where the material needs to come out, but with a pencil line, it definitely, you know, you can definitely start to define what needs to go and what needs to stay. So I'm going to do that off camera, and when I get back, we will be able to, you know, look at the lines where we're going to remove material, and then I'll show you how I go about removing the plastic. We'll do one window, and then that'll be it for this video. But yeah, so stay tuned, and I'm going to draw out these windows, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I went ahead and just roughly drew in some lines here, and again, this step you could probably skip. I just wanted to sort of give you an idea of you know, very first steps with this, just sort of visualizing where the windows are and where, you know, you're going to be cutting material out. But like I said, you could skip that step and just get straight into cutting if you wanted to. One thing to note before we start cutting is, you know, you're going to want to make sure you can always remove material. It's going to be much harder to add material. So you want to start small and, you know, cut. You don't want to make your windows too large. What we're going to do is we're going to cut them out and then go in with sanding sticks and files and actually fine-tune the shape that we want. So basically, we just want to get this material out of there, and then we'll fine-tune the actual shape once that's out. Another brief thing to note is we're going to keep the hood in place even through the process of getting the body fitted down onto the frame, and that'll come later when we actually cut the hood, because once you cut the hood, it starts to lose some of its rigidity. So we're gonna wait and do that at the end. All right, so the first thing I do is I'll just start in a corner, and we'll just start in this corner here, and I'll take a pretty decent sized drill bit. You don't have to go this big. I probably wouldn't go any bigger, and I couldn't even tell you what size this is. But you know, I have a bunch of drill bits laying around. You could probably start with this one too, but it's okay to go a little bigger here, and I'm just gonna go right inside where I drew my line there, and I'm just going to drill a hole straight through. So this hole here just gives us a place to cut to. So we're going to be cutting, more or less, we're going to be cutting straight lines, and this will alleviate the need to make a curve with our knife. So we're going to do another one here, and again, this is just really rudimentary, early stage cuts. This isn't fine. This isn't the final product by any stretch. Now, like with this one, you know, I'm not going to go all the way to the edge with my big honking drill bit. I'm going to come in a little bit, and we're going to fine tune that once we get the majority of the material out of there. Then we'll go back in with some files and stuff. Files and sanding sticks, and we'll fine tune that shape. But right now I just want to get the bulk of the material out of there. So again, this is super rough. Now I'm going to go in here, do another one. And again, not too far outside of my line. Not outside of my line at all. I'm going to go inside the line. Alright. So this is kind of what you'll be left with. Now the goal here, we're going to make some cuts with our X-Acto knife from this whole outer edge of this circle to the outer edge of this one and all around. And again, this can be rough. This doesn't have to be the final thing. I keep saying that, but that's this step is all about the you know, the first initial cuts. And you could it's actually what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna grab some tape. I'm gonna grab some blue tape here, and this will come into play more so with the hood, but I'm just going to put some tape down where my cut is going to go, and you can build this up. I like to build it up to at least 2, 3. I mean, you can go as much as you want. You want a good thickness of tape there. And this one again isn't as critical because we're going to fine tune this cut. We just want something for our knife to slide against so we don't stray. That is a good thing to note with cutting this stuff, is you don't want your blade to slip and cut where you don't want it to. So hope you guys can see that. I'm just going to score. You're really just scoring it first. I'm not digging into it too much. Using that tape as a guide. It's okay if you cut some of the tape. So I'm just going from hole to hole, the 2 holes that I've already cut. Now see, I already went through it. Now if you can see my knife here, I've already gone all the way through it. One thing that this hole does also is it catches your knife from going into gouging this. So you got to be careful when you cut through it that you don't gouge into this. And as long as you don't have a super sharp knife, I mean, it's good to have a sharp knife, but as long as you don't have such a heavy hand when you're cutting this stuff, you won't cut through it to the other side. But that's the first one. That's the first cut. So you can see how long that took. Not too long, but you got to be patient. Now with this one, this short one, I'm not going to use the tape. I'm just going to kind of keep my knife straight. Make sure I'm not. Now that one I just dug straight through after a couple of scoring. I just dug straight through. So that one's done. Now I'll do the other one, just the long one. And again, not using the tape this time either, but you can if you want to. So a couple score lines, maybe 3, and then it should pop through. There it goes, see? So depending on how heavy-handed you are, about 3 score lines, and the 4th time you should be able to pop through. Now I'm just going to do this last one, which is a super short one. Probably just kind of punch through that one. There we go. Alright, so driver's side door window, at least the initial cuts have been made and the material removed. And again, it's not, we're going to have a lot of filing and sanding to do on it. As you can see, it's super rough, but using some sort of drill bit and you know, some careful straight cuts from hole to hole should put you in the ballpark of where you need to go. You know, you could just start cutting this stuff without the holes, and it would probably be just fine. But the holes for me allow me to make straight cuts, and then, you know, the curve is actually the curve of the drill bit. So you know, that's just a little something I like to do, but it is by all means not the only way to do it. So that's pretty much the big picture of how to get these windows out of here. I'm going to go ahead and take all the windows out, and then I'm just going to start getting a plan together for my wheel wells. The wheel wells come out pretty much the same way. I mean, all of this stuff cuts pretty much the same way. You could take a pair of scissors if you wanted to, you know, and cut this excess off just to get a good straight cut. Or you could use, you know, a hobby knife, whichever you prefer. Definitely want to use a hobby knife for this. I don't have a Dremel, but as long as you're not, you know, overdoing it with the Dremel, you could probably use that. I tend to, you know, just use hand tools. So, you know, I can't speak to using a Dremel on this stuff. I wouldn't go too aggressive with it though, because it is, you know, it's still pretty flimsy. There's thicker places in the plastic, like around here is a little thicker than down here. So, but overall, it's a nice uniform thickness, and that's one of the reasons I like using these. Is they're really, it really feels like a scale fiberglass body that you would find on these cars. So the scale of the thickness is way better than a you know, kit plastic or resin by a long shot. So that's, I really like the thickness of these, and they're pretty easy to cut. You saw how easy it is to cut. You just got to be careful that you don't cut where you don't want to remove material, and you know, and it sands pretty easily too. So I'm going to go ahead and get all my windows out, and I may go ahead and get my rough cuts done to my wheel wells. And with this particular build I'm doing, this piece of the grill needs to come out because there's a bar that goes right there. So with the other one I didn't do that. I just left the nose piece all one solid piece. But this particular car that I'm building next is a replica, and it has that. So I'll let you guys fill you in a little bit more on which replica I'm building in the next few videos. But just wanted to give you an idea of how to work with this stuff. Again, the bodies were purchased from Ron Coon Resins. I will get into more of what he offers when we get into the the chassis part of this build, because he does offer more than just bodies. He's got some resin pieces that are really nice as well. I will leave a description, link to his shop in the description down below. And so if you were wondering how to work with this stuff, it's pretty easy. I will be probably in the next video. I'll also be, sanding some more, fine-tuning some more of these openings just to show you sort of the way I go about it. But for now, I'm going to leave it here, and thanks for following along, and tune in next time where we will continue some more body work. All right, thanks a lot, guys.